Welcome to chess, ladies and gentlemen. I'm glad you guys picked me. I am back. You know what? I was able to squeeze out just a little bit more time, so I do have the Nodirbek Abdusattorov game versus Wesley. So, and so they're kind of doing it. They're not really doing it rounds. They're doing it kind of matchups. It's kind of like a knockout situation going on. So they're gonna, I guess, keep doing that for another couple of days or whatever. But this is actually a really nice and exciting game. It has a lot of meat and potatoes to it. So as always, my people that are coming from the Philippines, I will say mabuhay to you. Kamusta na aking mga kaibigan? Hello ulit. Mabuting pagbati ingat lagi to you guys. Magandang umaga. It is about to be afternoon, so magandang apon. I appreciate you guys very much for stopping by. Anybody who is coming from Uzbekistan or who does speak Uzbek, I will say salam. And let me remember it so I don't look that on my sheet. Rahmat. Okay. I was trying to remember. Thank you very much for stopping by and taking a look at my video. But yeah, man, if you guys are ready to go, let's take a look, see what we got for this game, homie. So let me put my volume up some. So we got the move G3. And I mean, this is pretty common. I mean, you know, you have like a, like a Banco or King's Indian, attack situation possibly going on with this. So we do see the move G6. Black just has the same idea. And also too, I mean, these queens are on A1 and A8. So, I mean, these moves basically make it to where you can't really immediately develop the queen the way you want. Because you kind of want to go B3, B6, bishop B2, bishop B7. But you can't do that because the queen is just gone. So we do see the move knight to F3. We got the move C5. We got castle. So as you can see, I mean, for white, everything actually looks kind of normal already. I mean, you kind of have the queen in the corner, but I mean, other than that, I mean, it kind of resembles a similar, chess position. So we do have the move knight to C6. We got C3. We got D5. And we got D4. Always trying to make sure you take control of the center as much as possible for sure. Pawn takes D4, knight takes D4, and then we do see the move bishop to G4. And this is kind of like a Catalan type of situation. If the bishop or the knight, either one of them takes this knight, you are kind of looking at a nice little forkaroo on these rooks. So be kind of careful, homie. So we do see rook F to E1. We got queen over to C8. We got bishop up to E3. Now, I mean, pretty much D4 is super duper covered. So we do see knight taking D4, pawn taking D4, and then we do see the move bishop to G7. And we got rook to C1. Why not, homie? I mean, the queen is on C8. Why not just attack the queen, right? Why not, bro? So that's what I'm doing. Queen goes to E6, and we do see rook to C7. Why not again? Bro, let's put the rook on the 7 like way early in the game. Like, I mean, not even care, right? But we do see the move queen to B6, and that kind of makes the rook a little suspect. Because you can't really move the other one because you do kind of have this pawn hit. So you got to be kind of careful. Also, you do have a double attack kind of going on here because you are attacking this pawn twice. And you are also attacking the rook. So you got to make a specific move. So we do see the move rook to C5. That's not quite the move. But I mean, you guys can see that it makes a lot of sense though. Like, I mean, it's a move I would have made personally. So we do see rook to C5. Knight goes to F6. We got knight up to C3, and we're unraveling ourselves. If you're white, black still kind of has a little bit to go. I mean, they definitely can castle this way, which is what we see in the game, and that is castle short. So, I mean, everything looks almost like kind of identical to a position. I mean, when you think about it, there is, even though it's, kind of up there with another one of the really great moves, which is what we see in the game, there is a knight takes D5 here. I mean, just pretty much just taking this pawn off the board. You have hit it 3 times. So, I mean, you pretty much can take the pawn if you want to. Like, it is actually very suggested. But we see one of the other nice moves, and that is the move A4. And, I mean, this queen doesn't have, like, a whole lot of places to go. So, we're kind of trying to take advantage of that. So, we do see A4, bishop to E6, and then we do see the move A5. And, I mean, you can either go queen to D6 or queen to A6. Queen to A6 being a little bit better. It kind of keeps the queen a little bit more active. And you are hitting this square that, the rook moves away. Maybe the knight moves or something like that. I mean, it can become a liability. So, you're trying to tie white down a little bit. So, we do see the move B4. White is basically saying, bro, I don't like your queen. I want your queen to go away forever. So, we see the move B4. We got rook up to C8, and then we do see bishop to F4. We were thinking about taking care of this this pawn issue with the move E3 possibly. And we do absolutely not care about this rook takes C5 because pawn takes C5. I mean, we're doing A-okay over here as far as pawns is concerned. But we don't see that. We see the move B6. We got pawn taking B6. Queen taking A1, rook taking A1, pawn taking B6, rook taking C8, rook taking C8, knight going to B5. Yeah, I started getting in a dance. This takes, bam. All right, so we do have the move knight to B5. And I mean, at some point, rook to A7 looks mighty juicy. It was actually like the best absolute move. Well, not here, of course. I mean, because the knight is hit. But coming up, it is the absolute best move. The bishop does come back to D7. You got to do something with the knight. So you do go knight to C7. And then after we see the move E6, it is now that rook to A7 is one of the really great moves. And you're just extra taking care of this knight. And you are activating your pieces just a little bit. So we do see the move a knight back to A8. And I mean, hey, bro, this is kind of hitting this pawn a little bit, man. So if we can get this fork C going on, I mean, we are going to be double bishops against the knight and the bishop. So everything is going to be all right in the world. So we do see the knight to H5 because white does want to have double bishops. Black is saying, bro, I don't want you to have double bishops, man. Like, don't even do all of that. So we do see bishop down to E3 and then the rook goes to B8. So everything, I mean, you know, Wesley So is actually kind of playing, you know, really nice defensively in this particular position. He's not really, you know, white is basically one step away from kind of doing what they want to do because Wesley So is keeping the pressure on. So, you know, he's a pretty good player, I think, right? You know, so we got the move G4. The knight goes up to F6, and then we do see the really nice in-between move bishop to F4, attacking this rook. We are absolutely not going to give away a rook for a pawn. So we do see the rook going to B7, and then we do see the knight escaping back down to C7. We got the move H5, and you have to kind of ask yourself in this position, what does black want to do? You know, you just saw earlier that knight went to H5 to attack this bishop. So, black really kind of wants to do the same thing. So you really kind of don't want to oblige him. Rook to A8 or G5 is actually best in this position. And I mean, if you did go G5, you are not going to be seeing, knight to H5 because, of course, the pawn's in the way. So, you know, you kind of have to think about stuff like that. But we actually oblige him in this case. Knight, pawn takes H5 and knight takes H5. And then we do see the bishop down to D6. But this does kind of allow black to grab a pawn, which we're going to try to see if that's actually like a legitimate thing because it shows that white is actually really great in this position. We do see a rook going up to A8 with check. And then the king does step down to G7. And some of you guys might have been wondering, well, why is white like so good? What's going on? Well, we have actually reached a position that if you do want to pause the video and try and guess and see what move white finds in this position, go ahead and do so. Okay, cool. So like I said, I think a lot of you guys might have been wondering, like, I mean, everything looks actually kind of even. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know, black has a whole extra pawn. Like, why is white winning like so much? Like, they're like a pawn ahead, right? Well, there is a sacrifice in the position. And I actually think this one actually was really pretty hard to find, actually. And the move is actually knight takes D5. And some of you guys are probably looking like, what? Why am I doing that? Like, what even does that do? It doesn't even attack the king. Like, I can't even come back here with check. Or if I go up here with check, I mean, the king could just run, right? Like, what am I doing? Well, the thing that you have to be thinking about in this position is the rook is undefended and it is actually trapped if you capture this pawn back. What we actually see in the game, and this is something I have to applaud both players on, I'll be doing that in a second, but bishop to C6 is actually the #1 move in this position, and it's not taking the knight. If you do take the knight in this position, pawn takes D5, you would be looking at bishop taking D5, and the rook is absolutely 100% trapped. There is not anything you can play here that really does anything. The best thing you can do is go bishop to C8, throwing the bishop away instead of the rook, maybe sneaking it to rook A8, or just simply if the bishop takes, the bishop will take back. And I mean, at least you're recovering your piece, right? But this is a very, very beautiful position for white to be in. So noticing that, knight takes D5, and we do see the saving move bishop to C6. We got bishop to F8 with check. The king goes over to H7. We see knight to F6 with check, which might look kind of strange, except for whenever the knight or the bishop take back, we are going to be taking that bishop on C6. Bishop takes, bishop takes. And the thing that I will say about both of these players is, you know, Nodirbek is finding the absolute correct moves in a position, and Wesley So, because he is kind of on the back foot, he is finding the saving moves in these positions. So, I mean, kudos to both players. Malakas, see Wesley So at Nodirbek Abdusattorov. Little Tagalog for you, for my peoples. So we do see the rook going over to C7, then we just kind of like throw B5, like, bro, I'm not even worried about your rook, bro. and your rook actually at the moment doesn't even have a way to penetrate into white's position. So you're really holding this rook at bay with this bishop. So the bishop does come to e7. We got bishop taking e7, rook taking e7, and then we do have the move e3. We are trying to restrict this knight, not like that, but like that. And it would have to back up to f6, which is what we see in the game. Knight to f6. Rook goes over to b8. We got knight down to d5. And I mean, this basically just allows white to win a pawn. Bishop takes d5, pawn takes d5, and the rook takes b6. And white is actually even crazy because they were down a pawn before. Now they're up a pawn. So we do see d4. We got pawn takes d4, rook goes over to d7, and we decide to counterattack by Nodirbek, rook over to f6. We got king over to g7, rook goes down to f3, and then we do see rook takes d4 and rook goes over to b3. So, I mean, at the end of the day, I mean, white has, you know, done the maneuver that they want to do, because the thing about it is, when you do have a passed pawn, you do absolutely want a rook behind the pawn. I mean, it's not like it's the end of the world if it's behind the pawn, but the problem is, if the rook is behind the pawn, you basically force black into a defensive position. But if you are in front of your own pawn, you have to move your rook out of the way at some point to basically queen your pawn. And I mean, it's not always best to do that when somebody puts their rook behind your pawn, right? So we do see rook up to d7. We got b6, rook goes over to b7. And then we do see king over to g2. You know, that interesting like lift hole that we had right in front of the king. So the king does go to f6. We got the move g3. We got king to f5, we got f4, we got king back to f6, we got king to g4, we got king to g7, we got king to g5. And I mean, this pretty much just knocks you back, but I mean, white is just like really in the good, so it doesn't even matter. After the move f6 check, we do see king to g4, f5 check, king goes down to f3. We got king down to f6, we got king to e3, king to e6, king to d4, and then we do have king to d6. And we have the move h4, and it is in this position that Wesley so resigns the game. And some of you guys, I think probably a good percentage of you might understand why this game is actually, you know, over. But I will back up in this particular situation. Like, so let's go one move ago. Black is in a complete zugzwang in this position. They absolutely do not want to move their rook. They do not want to move their king. They do not want to move either one of their pawns. The problem in this particular scenario is white has many what we call reserve tempi. You literally can make any move with this rook that you want. Well, I mean, this is not going to be a good move, but I mean, pretty much in this area, that's going to be, you know, good moves that the rook can make. This pawn has 1 or 2 squares that it can go to. So basically, white can basically put, you know, black in a zugzwang. So that is what you did with the move h4. I mean, you could have moved rook to any one of these squares. You could have also moved pawn up 1 square. It doesn't really matter what you do as white. But we do see this position. So basically, at the end of the day, black is going to have to give way. You're going to either have to back up your rook. You're going to have to move to either side with your king. So, for example, if we go ahead and do this, we're going to be looking at king to c5. If we are moving over towards a pawn, we're going to be looking at king to e5. And we're fully happy to give up the position because the king is going to be eating his pawns. You know, if you get in this position and you go rook back to a8, this basically just continues to immobilize the rook because you have the move b7. And I mean, it's more of the same because you're deflecting the king all the way over there to that side of the board. So, yes, that is that game. And you know what? I had a request to highlight the previous moves and the moves that you made and things like that. So you guys let me know. I will poll people on it. It is not something that I have done before. And it actually, when I play a lot of Bullet and Blitz on chess.com, it is actually very annoying when you're dragging the pieces all over the place and it's making like the little, you know, stuff or whatever. So personally, playing wise. But I will, if it's received well, if people really like it, I will leave it on. And I will just pretty much try to do analysis videos like that in the future. So definitely let me know what you think on that, you know, on that poll. And if it does good enough, then I'll go ahead and just leave it there. So I appreciate you guys very much. Rahmat, Meraming Salamat, the King Makaibigan. And I'll see you guys next time.